Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Strong and the Geek podcast.
Hooray!
I am your host, Ben Ramirez, and with me here today is a very special guest, not Tom Hanks.
I have not won multiple Oscars for putting on a bunch of different accents.
That's right. So how you doing?
Really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah?
No, I'm doing fine. I'm honored to be on the show. And I have a feeling that a lot of other not guests that have been in the show feel exactly the same way I do for some reason.
Well, I could understand why you might be feeling a little bad. When you showed up, you had to show me something on your vehicle, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, apparently, and this actually goes out to whoever brushed against my car. Like, it's not very bad or anything. It's kind of just some little. What do you even call those? It's not
scratches.
It doesn't really look like a scratch. It's more like when it makes like a white.
Well, you traded some paint. You scuffed it up a bit.
Well, I didn't trade anything. I didn't fucking know what happened.
Well, he traded paint with you unconsensually.
Well, the weird thing was that it looked like chalk, and most of it rubbed off and washed off, but there's a few of the white marks that are on there. So I guess
it's probably from that whatever car brushing into is probably a white car. They had powder coat or whatever.
Yeah, fucking white cars. Black cars matter.
Yeah, take that, Hollywood.
Boo. Anyway, so I guess I'll have to get some wax to try and fix that. So it really pissed me off.
Yeah, you get some turtle wax or whatever, color match and be fine.
Yeah, or, another kind of wax. Turtle's not necessarily the kind. It has to be.
Yeah, but turtle wax is great. Try turtle wax for all your needs. Turtle wax. Anyway.
The turtle's wax.
Turtle wax, the turtliest. Anyway.
But yeah, that's...
Sorry.
So, that kind of sucks. But other than that, life is good.
All right, well, that's good. What would you get into this week?
All right,
Other than accidents, apparently.
So, to get right, I didn't get into an accident. I just literally just walked out, saw my car, got in the car, and then when I parked and got out of the car, there it was.
You know what? I have a long scratch down the driver's side of my car from the same reason. Someone just plowing down a neighborhood, not looking where they're going.
Boo, they were probably playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Which gets me to, so the big thing that happened this week was Pokemon Go was released, so this has been pretty hyped for a long time. Pretty much since Pokemon started, everybody, in 95 or whatever, people were like, holy shit, wouldn't it be sweet if Pokemon was real? That you could actually go out in your house and actually go on adventures and actually catch Pokemon out in the world.
And actually force animals to fight for your enjoyment.
Right. So Pokemon Go has been released, and it's taken the world by storm with its augmented reality, catching Pokemon in the world. So it's a phone app. You go around, it connects to your GPS and your location. Pokemon pop up in the real world, and then you'll see your kid activates your camera, and you see them hanging out. You catch them with Pokeballs. You can, and then it turns real life locations into what they call Pokestops, which are you can collect items there, and all that kind of stuff. And then also, there's gyms, and when you get to the gym, if it hasn't been conquered yet, that gym, you can conquer it because there's 3 different teams. So I'm on the yellow team.
Okay.
But you can conquer a gym for your team, and if it's your team's gym, you can then add you can add yourself to the gym if you've never been to it before to defend it, and you get points for doing that. But at gyms, you can also battle other trainers and stuff. I haven't battled yet. I've been trying to level up my guys and get them good. I have a Vaporeon right now. He's getting up there.
Nice.
And it's actually the Strong and the Geek it's the Strong and the Geek's Pokemon Go account. So
yeah, so you could challenge. Wait, can you battle other people? I actually haven't really played it.
Yeah, you can battle other people.
So someone could challenge the Strong and the Geek to a Pokemon battle.
I haven't gotten too well down yet, but from my understanding, if I go to a gym or something. At a Pokemon gym, if I leave a Pokemon there to defend the gym, they can challenge my Pokemon.
Oh, so you could leave your Vaporeon there.
Yeah, I could put my Vaporeon. So let's say Target is a gym. I can go to that Target, and let's say no one was there yet. I put my Vaporeon there and conquer that gym for the yellow team. If my Vaporeon is the strong, then other trainers can come who are on the yellow team and leave their Pokemon to help defend the gym.
Okay.
If my Vaporeon is the strongest of all the Pokemon defending the gym, then my Vaporeon, it gets a little crown. It means it's the top dog. Or top Vaporeon.
So your Vaporeon, which is kind of like a weird dog, or a fox or whatever it is, would be the king of Target.
Kinda, yeah.
Target. And it's the best place to get all of your things, especially turtle wax. Turtle wax, the turtliest of wax.
Yeah. Right on target.
Sorry.
Pokemon Go. Gotta catch them all.
Pokemon Go for when you're going and you need Pokemon.
But no, what was so it's actually been really fun. It is very exciting, particularly when you're not So when you're not, you have the app open, but like it's just like in your pocket, and a Pokemon pops up around you. It vibrates to like let you know, hey, Pokemon.
So you think like, oh, I'm getting a text message, and you pop it out, and it's like, oh wait, no, it's time to catch.
Well, for some
Pokemon.
reason, I don't know if it has like maybe this is me like being crazy, but the vibration for there's a Pokemon feels unique. It feels different than my phone text, my iPhone's text vibration. iPhone. By Apple. That's gonna have to stop. No, but so like for instance, I was at we were at the bars yesterday afternoon, and I felt we were outside, and I felt like my phone vibrate, and I look, and in the middle of the bar there was like an Eevee walking around, and I'm like, an Eevee in the bar. So I caught one, and like what you do is if you catch, so it encourages you to catch duplicates of Pokemon, because what you do is you trade them to the professor, who I think his name is like Professor Willow. He's another tree themed professor.
I don't know where all these guys go to school.
I don't know.
You know they go to the same academy.
Pokemon
University.
PU.
Like they go to PU.
Yeah, PU. Yeah, PU for all your academic and pokological needs.
PU. Are you a tree?
No, but for whatever reason, in the world of Pokemon, this is just a tangent, but if you put the word Pokemon in front of anything, that's just how things are described there. Like, this is the Pokemon Center. This is the Pokemart. This is the Poke University.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This is the Poke Car.
Welcome to Pokedonald's.
The Poke.
Would you like your Pokemac?
Which also, when you go to restaurants in the Pokemon universe, do they cook Pokemon?
Well, presumably.
Because we do know from the show, if I recall, that there are regular animals alongside Pokemon. Because remember, Ash had a cat.
Yeah, and you see regular birds flying around that aren't necessarily Pidgeys or Sparrows.
And don't you see regular fish in the ocean too that aren't?
I would assume. Yeah, I think you see little schools of fish.
Have we ever talked about this on the show? How do they determine what's a Pokemon and what's just a regular animal?
Well, I think if it shows intelligence, can say its name and spit like fireballs or some shit.
But wait a second, but they don't when the first time they encounter a new Pokemon, because the Pokedex didn't know everything. Like when they encounter.
So you think if they come across, they're like, "Are you a Pokemon or just an animal?" And it's like, "Rrr!" And it's like, well, Onyx doesn't really say Onyx, so we can't think for sure.
Well, yeah, and for instance, Persian doesn't say Persian.
Yeah.
And there's a few that don't say their name.
That'd be kind of racist if it was just like.
Yeah. Well, Zapdos just goes like. Well,
and if you're going based on the original Game Boy game, none of them said their names. They just went. It made like a weird, Transformer noise.
Yeah, except for Missing No, who did like a 6-minute long just because it broke your game. No, but what I'm saying is that we don't if
you should put Missing No in Pokemon Go.
Yeah, that would fuck up everybody's iPhones.
Yeah.
No, but if you encounter, let's say they encountered like a dog, and not to just think that was a Pokemon named Bark, it's a level 24 Bark.
Yeah. Bark. I choose you down using Pim particles.
Yeah, some shit. So what I'm thinking is if they maybe that's how they try is they try on something, and if when it turns into the energy and they try to bring it back out, it comes out fucked up. They're like, oh, it wasn't a Pokemon. We can eat that one then. It's alright.
Speaking of...
And Pikachu, that's why Pikachu didn't ever want to go in the Pokeball, because as a young Pikachu, he witnessed that happen to a regular rat, not an electric rat, and that's how he was like, well, I'm not going in there.
The funny thing is that turns a Pokeball into Schrodinger's box.
Yeah.
And if you got a cat, you would literally have a Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know that it's alive or dead until you cast it.
That is hilarious. Anyway, so that's a really long way of saying Pokemon Go is actually pretty fun. I have, right now I think I've caught 24 different kind. So I'm a very young, inexperienced trainer. I haven't gone to a gym yet or anything, but I'm working on it. And I must say that the feeling of, for instance, I was, in the parking lot while I had my car parked, right when I noticed that someone had fucking hit it, a Ghastly just popped up in the middle of the parking lot, and I was like, there's a Ghastly in the middle of this parking lot. It's haunted. I don't know.
It's a haunted parking lot. There's a gas leak in
here.
And
the other cool thing, the last thing to mention that's really cool is, so it is set to be based on your geographic location in terms of what Pokemon will come up, which is really like in the game. So for example, I went for a walk in town yesterday, And while I was just walking down the street, it was a lot of Rattatatas and Pidgeys and Eevees. When I was turned and was by a park. In the park, I found a Bellsprout, an Oddish, a bunch of Caterpies. So, things you find in the grass. Then, last night, when I was by the river in Harrisburg, in the city, it was just Rattatatas and Pidgeys and Spearows. But when I went by the river, I found a Magikarp, a fucking Horsey, and a Krabby. And so it's that's cool that it's it knows.
Where are you going to find fire type?
I would think if I was in a volcano, I'll find a Magmar. If I go to...
Hang on, I want to dial that back a bit. If you were in a volcano, you just said that that was the nonchalant part of the sentence. Right. And then you said, a Magmar or something. Yeah. I was supposed to be oh no, it's not a Magmar. What the fuck are you doing in a volcano?
Well, I mean, there are volcanoes around, Mount St. Helens and stuff.
Yeah. Not around. Well, you have to go to get to a volcano.
That's true. And you have to look up and no, but you know what though? Aren't there fucking dormant volcanoes everywhere?
I don't know.
Isn't every mountain kind of a volcano?
No.
Oh, that's not how that works. It's not how that works. No. Isn't a volcano just a mountain with magma underneath it, right?
Well, I think anything is. I mean, the entire world is a volcano. I guess by your math.
Well, okay, all right. So here's what I'm gonna say. We should probably just stop this because neither of us are geologists, and I'm a pretty smart dude, but right now I have no fucking idea what I'm talking about.
All right, you know what? If we just happen upon a volcano and there's a Magmar or a Charizard in there, cool.
I
Arcanine, Rapidash, Ninetales, all the fire types.
Yeah, Vulpix.
Basically, my favorite stage from Pokemon Snap.
that was cool. I haven't encountered a single fire type yet, actually. And I was really hoping when I evolved my Eevee that it was going to be a Jolteon, but I would have been okay with Flareon too. But I got Vaporeon. Vaporeon's not bad.
Got a fishtail.
Yeah. Right now, the only problem, the big issue with Pokemon Go, there's been two. One, so many people have been using the app, it's been crashing like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it loses the GPS signal. And, for instance, you get a certain item. We've been talking about this for a really long time. But we get you get an item that if you use the item, Pokemon come to you. It's called Incense, and it works for 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And the problem is that you get them, you'll get maybe one when you level up, but they're kind of hard to get. So I cherish my Incense. So I just got one when I just leveled up this past time. I was so stoked because I hadn't had one in a little while. So all right, use my Incense. I'm going to catch a lot of Pokemon. I'm going to have a half-hour Poke Safari. I used my Incense, and right when I was clicking to use it, the GPS signal lost, and the app crashed. I turned it back on, and I lost my fucking Incense, and it wasn't in my inventory. And so it sucks because now, those are hard to get.
That sucks.
Yeah. So I would and the other thing was, we just saw a news article that apparently there was a highway crash. We don't know if this is a joke or not, but if it isn't a joke, that sucks. There was a big highway pickup.
Oh, yeah.
Because a dude was trying to catch a Pikachu, in the middle of the road while driving on the highway.
Hey, we were driving through Mount Holly.
What was a Pikachu doing on the interstate anyway?
I don't know.
He got lost.
Well, for instance, Mary and I were driving yesterday in Mount Holly. I was driving. She was sitting in the passenger seat. She opens up the app. She caught a Drowsy, as we were driving, a drive-by. She drive-by caught a Drowsy.
I must admit that while I was in traffic on Friday leaving work, I caught 4 Eevees in my car while driving. So, and you saw, I tweeted out a picture, if you didn't notice, the Strongly Geek tweeted out a picture that while in the facilities at home, a Drowsy was standing on the bathroom counter watching me while I was self-regulating. And so I caught him, but I haven't used him since because he was a little voyeuristic.
I think the best picture I saw tweeted out was a guy had a Diglett, and it was in his pants.
Yeah.
So it just looked like his dick.
I saw a funny one of a dog, and a guy was walking his dog, and his dog was taking a shit, and a Weedle popped up, right where the dog was shitting, so it looks like the dog is shitting a Weedle. That was pretty funny.
I also saw one where a guy's walking a dog, and the dog happened to just be looking in a direction, and in that direction happened to be a Pikachu. So it just looked like the dog was staring at a Pikachu, and it was like, battle commenced.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. My girlfriend sent me this picture. I'll show it to you. She found a Weedle, and that's where it popped up. Right in her crotch.
Oh, yeah. She has... Ooh. She's going to want to get checked out before you guys do anything.
Yeah, she found a Weedle right literally
She's got a Weedle in her vagital.
Yes, she did. Vegetal, for all of your sensitive needs. Okay. All right, moving on. So, Pokemon Go right now, I would give it a 7. All right. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was the past week I had the opportunity to delve into Frank Miller's Dark Knight universe in 2 ways. One, because Master Race issue 5 was released pretty recently, and I had the opportunity to read it. But also, I had the chance to, a few weeks ago, The Dark Knight Returns: The Last Crusade, a special edition single issue, prestige format book, was released, and that tells the story of how Jason Todd was murdered in the Dark Knight universe.
Oh, okay.
That The Dark Knight Returns is from, and kind of the event that made Bruce retire, and we pick up 10 years later when The Dark Knight Returns starts. So, I'll start with that, and then I'll talk about the Master Race.
Okay.
So what happened essentially is that the book is it's about 60 pages or so. It might be 80, I forget. But basically, Bruce and Jason are investigating a series of crimes that Poison Ivy is making, like wealthy people around Gotham, like the wealthy men around Gotham, like fall in love with her and do anything for her, and all these crimes, that kind of stuff. And while they're investigating and taking down the criminals and her hench people and stuff, Bruce just keeps noticing that Jason is, like, really brash and very violent. But remember that the Dark Knight Returns version of Batman is kind of, like, sadistic. He's kind of into that, like, ultra-violence. So, he's, like, talking out.
He's Batfleck.
Yeah.
But Batfleck is him, I guess I should say.
Yeah, Batfleck. For all your
Batfleck. For when you want to see Batman brand a dude and blast another dude with a grenade launcher.
Batfleck. Batfleck. Anyway, so Jason is, like, being really brutal, and Bruce is like, that's kind of cool, but it's very cold, and so he's talking to Alfred, asking him, like, do you think Jason's okay? And Alfred's like, he doesn't have any empathy at all. And then Bruce is like, well, neither do I. And Alfred's like, well, you do sometimes, and you're a good person. Like, Alfred is kind of, I was reading it as, the subtext as Alfred isn't very keen on Jason, and isn't, like, is concerned for Jason. But anyway, in the meantime, Joker is in Arkham, and he gets people, like, he gets one guy to, like eat part of himself, like, he ate his hand off or something, and then Joker got another guy to go crazy. Like, it's really sick. And Joker's convincing these guys all these things to break out of Arkham, and eventually he breaks out of Arkham and is able to lure Jason, and the book actually ends very abruptly. It ends with him, Batman fights Killer Croc, and Killer Croc almost kills Batman. So Batman's kind of incapacitated. So he's at the cave, and Jason's like, are we going to go out and stop Joker? Joker just escaped from Arkham, and Batman's like, it can wait. Like, we both need to rest. We just had a very big encounter with Poison Ivy and Croc and all them. And Jason's like, no, fuck that. And he sneaks out to go stop Joker. Well, long story short, it ends with Jason, like, picking the lock to get into, like, where he's tracked Joker down, and you just see in the shadows behind him, like, some, like, silhouettes of, like, some thugs, and then it's, like, a 3-column sort of thing, and in the middle column, which is, like, supposed to be, like, the foreground, it's the Joker kind of just, like, making a little joke about, like, the ice cream song, like, you scream, I scream, but it's SCREAM, and, like, well, that's scream. Right. But it's like, then we'll make Batman scream, he's, like, supposed to be saying.
Okay.
And then in the 2 background columns, it's Jason Todd getting, like, fucking murdered by these guys. And it just ends, and then it literally, at the bottom, is just the end.
So it's always the Joker.
And so the Joker killed him in this universe, too. Well, Joker's men killed him in this universe, as opposed to him
Joker doing it
in
himself.
Regular canon, him getting blown the fuck up. But it was pretty good.
I mean, I like the sound of that, but I prefer the original way. The
crowbar.
Beat him with a crowbar, then blowing up the warehouse
with his mom.
Just as Batman gets there.
Well, and blowing him up with his mom. Yeah. But after he finally found her.
It's so brutal. It's so dark and sadistic.
Yeah, I gave him a collapsed lung.
Yeah.
So in terms of... So fast forward ahead to now the Master Race, so Dark Knight 3... Issue 5, to catch up to speed really quickly, I've talked about this on the show before, but... So essentially, the Master Race has been, everyone thought Bruce Wayne was dead, but he actually was hiding. Carrie Kelly took over with the Batman suit and purposefully got caught and then kind of mix things around. She's actually Batgirl now, and her costume is fucking hideous. That's one of the worst things about this book, is if you haven't seen this, look it up, and we'll tweet a picture of it. Her costume is like a Batgirl costume, but it's purple and green, and it looks, it's like the purple cowl, and then a green suit with like a purple bat. It looks really weird.
That sounds like the Riddler.
I don't know why they chose that color scheme. It's very unusual. But and it's not like stealthy at all. I know Robin's costume isn't stealthy, but
well, and when I think bats, I think purple and green.
yeah,
I don't think black. Bats, purple and green since 1987.
Trademark. But yeah, so this is basically what happened. So Kandor, this is what I mentioned, that up until this point, the Kandorians, they were able to use like fucking Adam's technology to get free and go back in the world and go back to regular size. So
Right.
they left the Bottle City, they left the Fortress of Solitude, and they're really pissed. So they're kind of like a cult now. They're the master race. So
They are superpowered.
yeah, all of them.
Yeah.
Like because they've been exposed to yellow sunlight,
Yeah.
just to the degree that they were so small that it wasn't like really big, and Superman was kind of keeping them in check. But now they're all regular and out in the world and taking it in. So it's an army,
a whole society
of
Supermen.
Yeah, and women.
That is terrifying.
And they're being helped. Their leader, his like right hand man, or actually right hand woman, is Superman and Wonder Woman's daughter, Lara.
Okay.
And so Lara is like thought to be even stronger than Superman, perhaps, but she's still young. So they all team up on Superman's trying to talk to them. They're like, no, we're gonna take over. Fuck this. Like Kal-El, help us, or you're done. And he's like, no. So they all team up and using their combined powers, like trapped him. And then they said the one person who can stop them, they know, is Batman, because he's the one who's defeated the Kryptonian before. So they tell the citizens of Gotham, they're like overlaying siege on Gotham, and they're like, Gothamites, you have 24 hours or something to bring us like the head of the Bat. This is kind of a synopsis, or we're gonna just destroy the world or something.
It's very Dark Knight.
So that's where, and so that's kind of where it ended. So this new issue takes place with Gotham in fucking shreds, like it's mass hysteria, everybody's going nuts trying to find Batman and kill him. They get he's like recruiting, so they recruited the Flash, but the Kandorians really fucked up Flash's legs, so Flash has been, for some reason, his healing factor hasn't been working in very well, so he's been lying in like a bed with his legs all destroyed, but using like his super speed to now be like Oracle, like running the computers and organizing stuff. So Batgirl went with Arthur, with Aquaman and the Atlanteans, using their like powers, went to where Superman has been trapped, and they freed him. So Superman gets freed, and Superman goes to join Batman. In the meantime, Batman powers up. He gets the suit back from Dark Knight Returns, his power suit. He has fixed it, so he dons it again, and he's going now to fight all of the Kandorians. So he goes in his tank, and he's pulling up. It's kind of like the battle scene with the mutants against Dark Knight Returns. It was very similar to that.
Okay.
So he's pulling through the streets of Gotham, and he has this one page like kind of soliloquy about how he doesn't kill, but for the reason because of like instead he likes inflicting fear, and he's like, these Kandorians don't feel fear or something, and that's going to be their downfall or some shit. So he has something that he did with the synthetic kryptonite that. It's like acid rain. He made kryptonite rain because they're all in the sky flying, and then they all start just falling because he said some bomb.
So he like put it up in the atmosphere.
So they're all raining. It's raining and shows them crashing down because it's kryptonite rain. And then he gets out and he's ready to start kicking ass. And right about when he's like about to get ready to have his final confrontation with all like the Kandorians, someone shows up. It's Superman, but Superman is in a power suit too, kind of like the Batman power suit. He's in a Superman suit.
Okay.
I must admit, it was only the last page, and how it looked on that page, it looked kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah? The actual suit?
Superman's suit didn't look great.
Well, Superman has had a power suit in the past.
Yeah, but here, let me show you this one. Actually, I'll show it to you later, but you can look it up. But you'll see it, and
okay.
It's not great. But, that being said, it was cool to see Batman in his suit and Superman right next to him, and he's like, I got your back or something, and that's how it ended. This book ended. So it's setting it up for they're gonna have this big clash of all these Kryptonians versus Superman and Batman. So
now, to make this clear to the viewers or the listeners that may not quite fully understand, this is completely apart from what's going on right now in canon with Rebirth. This is a continuation of the Dark Knight Returns.
Which,
Just in case there was anyone listening who's like, wait a minute, but didn't they just say that
DC
there's
Rebirth.
there's three Jokers? And what's going on?
And there's two Supermans.
How do they kill Jason Todd again?
Yeah.
No, this is a separate storyline.
Yeah.
This is if you were going to read The Dark Knight Returns and you wanted to continue on in that Frank Miller's arc.
Right. That chronology, the only books that are in that canon, the Frank Miller canon, are All-Star Batman and Robin, then The Dark Knight: The Last Crusade, then The Dark Knight Returns, Dark Knight Strikes Again, and now this one, The Master Race. Those 5 books would be this universe's story.
Now, would you say that Dark Knight Returns is still your favorite?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, All-Star Batman and Robin is infamous for Batman is like a real like sadist dickhead. He slaps Robin in the face as like a 9-year-old kid. And the most
Is that where we get that meme from?
I'm the goddamn Batman. Yeah, that's where it comes from.
The slapping Robin meme.
Yeah, and he says that's his famous line.
I've always wondered about that.
Yeah,
where that meme came from.
His famous line is, "I'm the goddamn Batman." The other one is Dark Knight Strikes Again was silly. The artwork wasn't great. I mean, it was okay, but the artwork was really, really bad. And there was an unusual sex scene between Wonder Woman and Superman where they came, presumably where Laura was conceived.
Okay.
But they came like crashing down to Earth. And they were having sex in the sky, and they crash down to Earth. They hit the Earth, and they make the Earth like shake, and it causes like literally global catastrophes, like hurricanes and earthquakes and stuff. So it was kind of fucking weird. Dark Knight Master Race so far has been good, but like not fantastic, but it's been good. But none of them are close to Dark Knight Returns, and The Last Crusade was pretty cool.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my take on that so far.
Cool. Well, in other news, we did get some information on the Marvel side of things. Big news in the last week. At the end of Civil War II, which is an ongoing storyline,
right?
It's this big crossover event, and we're getting all new comic books from all the various characters. We will have a new Iron Man.
Really?
And it's not anyone who you would think it is. It's a character that was introduced in the past, but is now going to be like an actual bona fide superhero. And it's, again, well, let me just give you the rundown.
Is it going to be another man? Or?
No.
So it's Iron Woman.
Well, they haven't decided on the name yet.
Okay.
Again, this is.
But I'm saying it's a female character?
It is a female character.
All right.
Her name is Riri Williams. She's actually only 15 years old.
Oh, young Iron girl.
Yeah, she's an African American. And she is a super genius MIT student.
Now, hold on a second. They have confirmed that this is what's going to happen after Civil War II. Is that like hinting that Tony Stark's going to die or
possibly,
or
maybe Tony Stark is going to go on to be something else. Recently, they did the exact same thing with Thor.
Yeah. But they just brought back the original Thor, right?
Well, here's the thing: the hammer went to what we now know as Jane Foster,
right?
And Thor just started going by the name Odinson because he's not Thor anymore,
right?
So he has his own adventures away from Mjolnir.
Right.
Now he actually has a spear and like a robot arm or whatever. And I don't know exactly what the
So he basically became the 2000s Aquaman.
Right. But in this case, it's possible that, this might end with Tony Stark dying. I mean, Rhodey's dead. Right. She-Hulk passed away. So, we might be losing Tony Stark, or Tony Stark might be going into doing something else.
Well, Civil War I culminated in, the aftermath of it was Steve Rogers dead.
Yeah.
So this would be kind of a parallel to that.
Which, ultimately he came back.
Yeah, of course. No one's dead in comic books. But my question is that, how do you think that's kind of foolish of Marvel to release this information beforehand? Because that's going to get fans speculating, something's going to happen to Tony. And if something does happen, killing Tony Stark would be fucking huge. But now it would be like, they already told us he has a replacement.
The one thing that they did come out and say is, no matter what you think it is, it's not that.
Oh,
they made it clear.
It's crab people.
They made it clear,
it's gonna be crab
whatever
people.
You think it is that's gonna cause this, come up with your little fan theories. You're wrong.
Marvel,
it's something
having M. Night Shyamalan twists since 2016.
I don't know. What if it turns out that Tony Stark is Riri Williams?
No, Tony Stark has been working for Hydra the whole time.
Oh, hail Hydra!
Hail Hydra for all your
hail Hydra
for all your Nazi needs.
Hydra, are you a white supremacist? So are we.
Oh god.
So the viewpoints of Hydra are not necessarily considered.
This show doesn't reflect. Does not reflect the viewpoints of Hydra. The Strong and the
Anyway.
Geek are not affiliated with Hydra in any way.
Hydra International is anyway.
LLC.
So that's the point. So yeah, Riri Williams, 15-year-old black girl, is going to be the new Iron Man, Iron Lady,
Right.
Iron Girl,
Right.
or maybe they're gonna just stick with the name Iron Man. Or,
To be honest,
I hope they don't make it something like they call like all black exploitation, like in the 70s.
Black Iron.
Like they
or
call
something.
it like
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
like
Honestly,
Iron Black.
I actually would. So, part of me kind of would be okay if they left it Iron Man, and the fact that it was an African American teenage female that's Iron Man kind of makes the idea that, no, this is Iron Man as a mantle. You don't need to be a man or whatever.
Exactly. Well, that is exactly what they said
And
about Thor.
I'd be fine if they left it like that.
Because when they first announced Thor, people were like, okay, so it's going to be She-Thor,
Right.
or Lady Thor, or Thor-ette.
No,
and they were like,
Thor.
no, this is Thor.
Right.
It doesn't matter who's wearing the cowl. It's Thor.
Yeah, and I'll say Marvel's been pretty good with doing that
So
lately.
I'd like to see them keep it as Iron Man. Hell, and maybe the story ends up being that Tony Stark is, for whatever reason, incapacitated.
Right.
And she takes up the mantle secretly,
Mhm.
and people don't know. Like, the audience knows, obviously.
Right.
But that the other characters in the Marvel Universe don't know that it's not Tony in the suit.
Yeah, I mean, the voice Iron Man, the suit makes him have. Well, that actually, I feel like I'm not. It's in some iterations, the suit has a distinct voice, and that's why a lot of people originally thought Iron Man was a robot. They didn't know there was a person inside
Yeah.
the suit at first. But then in other ones, like for example in the Avengers movies, no, it's definitely when he talks, it's clearly Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
So I'm sometimes kind of confused.
Well, I
there.
mean, with simple modifications, the suit could sound the same and fit someone much smaller into the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it could look and sound exactly the same, and people would probably be none the wiser.
The only reason why part of me would want, the only way I'd want them to, if they did call it like Black Iron or something like that, is if they did it with the purpose that someone else in the comic book would pick up and be like, man, that's racist as shit. Like, why do you call yourself that? And then they'd be like, yeah, you're right. It's probably not a good idea.
Well, especially now that we lost Rhodey, we don't have a black person in an Iron Man suit.
No, I was gonna say, I thought you said we were not gonna have any black people at all. I was like, what about Falcon? Right.
Captain America.
Yeah, that's true. My bad.
But that's the thing. There are two Captain Americas now.
Right.
And one on either side of this current Civil War.
Right.
So,
Hail Hydra.
yeah, hail Hydra. In any case, so yeah, lots of interesting stuff in there, and we're excited to see what's around the bend.
Yeah, so both DC and Marvel are putting a lot of interesting kind of turns on what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
And it'll be cool to see what's going on.
The only other thing that I did this week as far as nerdy stuff is concerned, I actually watched Batman Bad Blood.
Oh, okay. You
Which
found,
I
you
had
hadn't
not-
checked it out yet?
I hadn't checked that one out yet. I went to the Red Box to rent a DVD. I got Zootopia for the kids to watch, and while I was there, I saw.
Which was also really good.
Yeah, I only watched the beginning of it, and then I had to go do some other stuff. It seems really good. But then I saw on there they also had Batman Bad Blood. And I was like, oh, you know what? I haven't seen that one yet. I gotta check it out.
What'd you think?
I didn't even know what storyline it was.
None. It's an original story.
Well, no, but I mean, it's based on the, Batman's gone, they bring in Batwing,
Well,
and
it was
Nightwing becomes...
It's very loosely based on Battle for the Cowl,
Yeah,
but really, really, really loosely.
yeah, but that's the whole thing. I didn't know in any way where it fits
Right.
in the storyline, and then I was like, oh, okay, Nightwing takes the mantle, Damian is not happy about it.
Yeah, Batwoman has a big role, which I liked.
Yeah, although Damian was less unhappy about it than he is in the comics. In Battle for the Cowl,
Well, that's I mean it's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different. In any case, I really enjoyed it. I thought
Yeah,
it was well
it was
done.
pretty good.
I liked the introduction of Luke Fox.
Yeah.
I love the introduction.
Introduction.
The introduction of
From now on, every time we say, we're going to say introduction.
of Batwoman,
Yeah.
Katie Kane.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was great. It ends with the Batgirl randomly showing
which was
up,
cool.
which was neat. And of course, we get Batman back. There were a couple moments where I was like, wait a minute, but then who was... They didn't really address that. What about... What? Huh?
Yeah.
No.
Which is good. I mean, they kept it on your toes.
Yeah, they kept you on your toes.
Yeah, they
Like, for
introduced
instance,
a lot of twists.
the character that they called the Heretic, that wore, like, the robot-looking bat cowl and then, like, a leather jacket. Unless I missed it, they didn't come right out and say that it was Katie Kane's father
Right.
in a cowl. But then when you saw him, like, twirling the knife and whatnot, you're like, oh, I see
So,
what they
yeah.
did there.
I have to go back and rewatch it. I haven't watched it since it first came out, but it was, yeah. thought it
I
was
mean, I
pretty
might
good.
have missed it, but they only call him the Heretic, and then he wasn't at the end of it.
Right.
But they had already brought him down when he tries to kill her
Mhm.
because of the brainwashing. Also, I loved how ruthless Talia was in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because you always see Talia as like, she's not really evil. She's in love with Bruce Wayne, and
I mean, it
she's
really
in the shadow of her father.
It depends. I will say, in the animated versions of her, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But in this case, it was like, no, I'll kill my own son. I don't give a shit about him.
Yeah.
I'll just make another one.
Which is more comic accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are times where she's ruthless.
And I thought that was great. And then at the very end, it's like, oh, she got away. And then the ship explodes, crashing into the water. And Bruce just puts his hand on Damian's shoulder like, I'm sorry.
I killed your mom.
And then, well, no, he didn't. It was the assassin.
Your mom died. Yeah, your mom.
And then at the end, they're sitting down, and Nightwing and whatnot are coming up and saying, what's going on? He goes, Master Wayne is having a heart-to-heart with his son. Like, think what you want of her, but he did lose his mother today.
Yeah.
And it was just really well done. I think it was really well written. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah,
8
it was good.
10.
Yeah, it was good. Mentioning one thing I forgot to mention about movies is one last thing really quick. I did see The Secret Life of Pets.
Oh, you mean Toy Story 4?
Nah.
Dogs.
No, honestly, I had the vibe that it was going to be very, like, Zootopia-esque.
I thought it was going to be more like Toy Story, but with pets.
Well, it turns out, so to be fair, the pets don't speak, actually speak when humans aren't around. Like, it shows you that the pets are talking. Like, they do the thing where it's like, give me food, and then it cuts to the human's perspective, and it's just bark, 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 bark.
So it's like, look who's talking now?
No, they don't actually talk, though. Like,
no, but do you remember Look Who's Talking Now? Where
no.
There was Look Who's Talking and Look Who's Talking 2, where it was about how babies, when they're going blah, 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 they're actually talking.
Oh, I'm thinking of
And then Look Who's Talking Now, it's the same thing, but with dogs.
Oh, I was thinking it was Baby Geniuses. That's the one where the babies actually could talk. No. So the movie, it was okay. The plot was really, like, all over the place, and they introduced this bit where there was a bunch of, like, they called them the flushed pets. They lived in the sewers, and they were, like, I guess, they had been, like, hurt by humans in the past. But the thing was that a lot of the flushed pets were definitely never pets. They had 2 crocodiles on staff, a viper, and a lot of other animals that just really were unusual. One was like a bunny and a pig.
Well, I don't know. You hear those stories about people getting pets, and then, I mean, that's where the whole idea behind the alligators in the sewer thing comes up, is people get their kid something small, and then it gets too big, and they flush it down the toilet.
Which
I don't know how you could flush something big down the toilet.
Well, so I was hoping that's been like an issue with the teacup pigs, that a lot of people wanted little mini pigs, so they got them, and they had no idea that it's just a baby pig, so when it gets big, it's a fucking pig.
Absolutely.
So there's a pig in the movie, and I was hoping that was the joke they were going to make with that pig, was that like, oh, like, my owner bought me because they thought I was cute and little, and then I grew into a pig. But instead, actually, the pig is covered in tattoos, and apparently it was that a tattoo parlor owned the pig, and they practiced on the pig, and then when he got too full, like no more room for tattoos, they just threw him out. And
that's so sad.
Yeah,
they tortured the poor thing. They just threw it away.
Yeah, so, but, I mean, overall, the plot just jumped around a lot, and there was a lot of... There's one scene in particular that still I don't understand. So the 2 dogs... this is really quick, and then I'll give it my out of 10. The 2 dogs, they break into a sausage factory. It's called, like, Wiener Kingdom or something.
Okay.
And they start eating all these sausages, and I mean, it's comical, but then they get drunk off the sausages, and it doesn't say they're, like, beer sausages or anything. They just start acting like they're really fucked up.
So they get, like, meat drunk?
But it gets weird because they start acting drunk at first, but then they start hallucinating, and there's a little, like, brief scene where it's like the hot dogs are like anthropomorphic, and they're dancing and singing a song, and they're like, they go from being on the cart, then where the sausage cart, to like this like fantasy land. It looks like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but for wieners, and they're singing this song, and while the dogs are like singing and dancing, and the dogs are, it's funny because like the one wiener is like singing, and the dog just bites his head off in the middle. It's funny, but it's never explained, and then just the little musical number ends, and then it cuts to the next scene, and like 4 scenes later, the dogs are just lying there in the wiener carts just talking to each other.
Huh.
It's really...
You think it's like maybe like a euphoric thing, like that so many endorphins are released in their brain that they're... What's the other drug? Dopamine or whatever?
Well, it's not a drug, it's a neurotransmitter, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That they're just like so happy that they're...
I don't know. It was just really unusual because it like It was like, honestly, I could compare it to Tenacious D in The Pick of Destiny when he eats the mushrooms and has the Sasquatch experience.
Sasquatch is my papa.
Yeah, it was exactly that, only
That's
with dogs and sausages.
That's my favorite song in that movie.
It was funny. It was cool. Like, but we were sitting there, and literally, like, my girlfriend and I were sitting there watching it, and I look over at her, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She was like, I don't know. Like, this just got real weird. And then it's never addressed. Like, that's it. So,
real weird in a movie where Kevin Hart is a bunny rabbit.
Yeah, and Kevin Hart was she loved Kevin Hart as the bunny. He's the leader of the Flush Pets. I thought he was stupid. And, like, he kept making, like, I just think Kevin Hart, actually...
Okay, yeah, can we both say this? I do not like Kevin
Hart.
Fuck
you, Kevin. I was gonna apologize and say, you know, Kevin Hart, like, I'm not a big fan. No, fuck it. He's not good.
He's super popular, but I just...
Why?
I don't think he's super funny.
Name one good Kevin Hart movie.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Like, I can't think of any.
Well, he's made 2 of the exact same movie, one with The Rock and one with Ice Cube.
Yeah. Aren't they even, like, the names were similar, I think.
Well, there's one that's just, I think it's just Central Intelligence.
And then
the other one is Ride Along.
Ride Along 2.
Yeah. But he's basically, like, the whole idea behind the movie is, like, there's the tough and rumble ethnic guy, and then there's the super white black guy.
Well, here's the thing.
Like, oh, I have a 401k.
I think the plot of every Kevin Hart movie is the same. Team Kevin Hart up with someone, whether it's Dwayne Johnson or Ice-T.
Ice Cube.
Or Ice Cube. Oh, I always mix those two up.
Yeah.
Or Will Ferrell and Get Hard. It doesn't matter. Team him up.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Team him up with someone.
Just team up with someone who is better.
And significantly taller than him.
Yeah, that's right.
And just
I mean, let's be honest. Everyone is significantly taller than him.
Yeah, like my dick.
I think he's only
dick is significantly
I think he's actually only like 5'3".
Yeah.
Or 5'4".
Yeah, he's a tiny dude.
So, I mean, most people are taller than him.
Oh, that Weedle that was hanging out on the crotch earlier was taller.
Yeah, although not your dick.
No.
Let's
be
honest.
That's true. That'd be weird.
You don't have a 5'5" dick.
Yeah, that'd be bad. So yeah, Secret Life. Well, Kevin Hart, 0 out of 10. Like,
I wouldn't give him a 0.
A 1?
I'd say a 4.
Oh God, no,
he's
dude.
He's below average.
Yeah, significantly.
He's mediocre.
A 3 at tops.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not good.
You heard it here, folks.
I saw Get Hard.
We just lost some fans.
I got no, really? The listeners of this show are Kevin Hart fans?
Maybe.
Oh, damn it, man. Well, that means we have things in common with Kevin
Hart. He's like the shit of comedy.
Yeah. Kevin Hart. He doesn't have any heart. But yeah, Secret Life of Pets. I'd give it overall a 6.5. Like, it was good, not great.
Okay, fair enough. Like, I should watch it with my kids, but not bother paying to go to the movie theater.
Wait till it comes out.
Okay.
And rent it or whatever, Redbox or whatever.
Yeah.
And watch it with your kids. They'll enjoy it. It had plenty of jokes kids would enjoy.
Okay.
But
not worth the ticket.
To be honest, what I really enjoyed was before they had a little short with the Minions, and I must say, everyone I know loves the Minions. I've actually never seen either of the Despicable Me's, and I've never seen the Minions movie. So this is my first time actually ever seeing them in anything, and I must admit, it was very funny.
Well, here's the thing. Despicable Me and Despicable Me 2, good movies.
I heard they were good.
Minions? No. Not great. The Minions themselves are funny, but an hour and a half of them gets annoying.
Right.
You know, they're good.
Yeah, no, I think that's why they're perfect for
used.
I think they're perfect for shorts.
That's why you don't make
minutes.
a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory called Oompa Loompas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're great in small bits.
Right.
A whole movie of it would just be terrible.
Yeah, and that's why I think the short was so good. It involved them they saw a smoothie machine and they really wanted it, but they didn't have the money, so they decided to go to an old folks' home.
Wait, they wanted to buy a smoothie machine, or they wanted to buy a smoothie?
They wanted to buy a smoothie maker. Like
okay,
a blender.
Fair enough.
They wanted to buy a blender, and so they go to this old folks' home and offer to do their landscaping work, and they get into all sorts of antics.
Okay.
There's a funny bit with dog poo and a vacuum.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It was pretty good. I would give that little Minions bit an 8. It was funny. All right, I think it's that time though. We've been talking. Holy shit, we've been talking for a long time.
That's all right. So let's talk about our
Geek of the Week.
Geek of the Week.
Chicka chicka.
All right. So this week, now this actually happened on June the 23rd, but the video was just released to the public this week.
So they're the geek of a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Now these guys, it's actually a group of guys.
Okay.
They think 8.
At this point, we give the Geek of the Week can be Geeks of the Week.
Yeah, whatever. It's just something we like.
Yeah.
So, for instance, one of the guys, we'll say that this guy is the Geek of the Week, and the others are with him because it's the only name I see. Nick Kelton.
Yeah.
Hooray for you, Nick Kelton. even though you're in jail. So,
Keep going. There's some cool people in
okay,
jail.
so a Parker County jailer passed out, and didn't just pass out. He was actually just standing around joking around.
One of the guards?
Yeah, he was one of the guards.
Okay.
He was the only one right there at that point.
Okay.
And you can watch the video. I'll tweet it out afterwards. He was standing around kind of joking around with the inmates when all of a sudden he slumped over. He had a heart attack.
Oh, God.
And he went straight down to the ground. And the guards start freaking out, yelling, trying to get the attention of other guards. And when it becomes clear that no one's coming, they actually manage to force their way out of their cell.
How?
They worked at it.
Oh,
You know what I
wow.
mean? They just pushed at it because they were so concerned about him, and they got him, and they started yelling, for banging on the door, saying, is someone coming? So the other guards thought that there was a fight or a riot going on.
Sure.
The Parker County Sheriff Sergeant Ryan Spiegel said he didn't know what to expect going downstairs. What he actually said was, look, he had keys, he had a gun. It could have been an extremely bad situation.
It could have been like the Orange is the New Black thing you talked about.
Yeah. But when they got down there, it was actually, they were there trying to help him. Apparently, the jailer didn't have a pulse.
Oh, God.
So he was at death's door.
Yeah.
And because of the actions of these inmates,
Mhm.
they managed to save him.
I have a lot of questions about, if they could just, without any tools or anything, break out of their cell. That's pretty impressive.
Since they have reinforced
Okay, gotcha.
the cells.
Did they get any, kind of reward? Like another hour of TV time or something for saving him?
No, I don't think that they're going to... I mean, they're famous now, I guess.
That's true.
I don't think that they're going to have anything done with
You know
their
what?
sentences
Actually,
or whatever.
Well, I will say, if any of them are up for parole, that might help their parole.
Yeah.
If they got in trouble for breaking out for saving a guy's life, that would piss me off.
But here's the thing, they did reinforce the cells, so there's that.
Yeah.
So now if this happens again, they won't be able to save.
Yeah.
And for instance, one of the guys was actually in jail for assault on a public servant.
Oh wow!
But now he kind of has
gone full circle.
Yeah, he's balanced the scale by saving. For instance, our main man Kelton, it's drug charges.
Mm-hmm.
According to this, it says he tries to get himself cleaned up, but
was it mandatory minimum?
This is the 4th time he's been to prison
on
charges for methamphetamine, and I mean addiction is a disease. Yeah, I mean it's a terrible thing, and we got to deal with that in one way or another. But it's good to see that we can't just say, oh, because you're a druggie or because you're a criminal, there's nothing good in you.
Right.
These guys were possibly, they ran the risk of, those guards could have shown up, seen that the prisoners were out, and just started shooting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially if they saw a guard's body on the ground.
Oh, yeah, that probably was incriminating.
They ran a big risk of their own lives to do nothing but help someone who is literally there to punish them. You know what I mean? That's technically a jailer's job, right?
Right. I think this speaks to the fact that, and this is kind of, I guess, our final thought on this, but it just speaks to the fact that, behavior is really the issue. That criminals are in there for their behavior. At the end of the day, I truly don't believe that people are bad. They do bad things. People go to jail for doing bad things. But just if someone told me, oh yeah, I was in prison for 3 years because I did this, I'd be like, you were in prison because you did fucked up stuff. My first thought isn't oh, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Yeah. In comic books, we have bad people and stuff.
Well, in the real world, there are evil things, but I don't think there's such a thing as they always hear that oh, the only thing that beats a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. It's you're really dumbing down this argument because there's no such thing as good guys and bad guys. Everyone's a good guy until they do something bad. Right,
and a good guy or vice versa. Actually, this proves that these quote unquote bad guys did something really good and heroic.
Yeah.
I think
as a for instance, this I know this is terrible and tragic, but this sniper shooter in Dallas who shot all these cops and killed four or five police officers, he was a veteran,
right?
And it's that means he's a good guy according to everyone. Says veterans we always got to support the
troops.
Exactly,
he's a great guy.
A good guy.
Thank you for your service.
But now
he's a bad guy. Yeah,
he's totally he's dead now. but
Was a bad guy.
yeah, it was a bad guy.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so you can't just say the only thing that stops a good guy with a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, because the good guy with a gun might turn into a bad guy with a gun.
Right, yeah.
So that's why we don't give everybody guns. Anyway.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, just be weary, listeners, about judging people.
Yeah. But getting back to it, good job, inmates. You did a great service to your prison and your friend.
We can't do anything to help you get out earlier, and you'll probably never hear us say this unless you have podcasts in jail, but we're proud of you.
Yeah, we're going to give you a little shout out online.
Yeah. All right, so it has come to our attention that this is our 15th episode, and for all of you math whizzes out there, 15 is a multiple of 5, and that means it's a
5th week top 5.
I must admit, I love these. Woohoo!
Yes, these are a lot of fun. And we got a great one today.
Guys, so if you haven't figured out by now, we are pretty avid comic book fans.
Yeah, this is a very comic book heavy episode.
And that's fine with us. We love comic books. We love comic book media. And to be honest, if you see that the Avengers movies make $1 billion, all you guys love it too.
Absolutely.
But unfortunately, for every Batman, for every Captain America, for every wonderful comic book character you have, unfortunately, somewhere out there in the universe, you'll find a completely fucking garbage character.
Yeah, some nonsensical piece of... I don't know if they do them as jokes or if they're just all stoned when they come up with these guys.
Or they just run out of ideas. But as you'll see...
They're just like, what if a guy wears poop on his head and we call him Captain Poophead?
But sometimes...
Get it out there.
But sometimes they're also tropes on characters or just reimaginings of characters that already exist that just go afoul. But so, this week... Tell them what we're counting down.
All right, this week in our top 5, it's going to be the top 5 most nonsense garbage superheroes.
In our opinion.
Yeah.
Or, no, not necessarily superheroes, just comic book characters.
Comic book characters,
some of these are villains.
Oh, do pick some villains.
I have some villains.
I went with just heroes. Because, well, I feel like villains could be its own list, but that's fine.
Right.
We'll go
characters.
All right, so would you like to get us started with number 5?
All right, so number 5 is from the Legion of Superheroes. So, for all of you that don't know, the Legion of Superheroes in DC, they're from the future, and they originated, well, they were introduced, how do you say that?
They were introduced
in Superman, because Superman went to the future or whatever, and Supergirl also went to the future and stuff, but they met them, and they're all, like, teenagers. And they have these Legion rings that they wear, and they're like the Legion of Superheroes. So there are some cool ones, like Brainiac becomes a super advanced. Brainiac, the 5th incarnation of Brainiac, is actually part human and good. He's their leader and stuff.
And we've seen them on Justice League.
Justice League.
Or was it Justice League Unlimited?
They popped up in both.
Okay.
They popped up in Superman, in the Superman animated series and stuff. But the one that I'm going to talk about isn't as cool. I'm talking about Bouncing Boy.
Oh, jeez.
So, Bouncing Boy is an overweight brunette male whose ability is, and quite easily deducible here, he can bounce. He can inflate himself and just bounce around. And I don't know when this power is ever really helpful, except for maybe like at a beach party when you forgot the ball. That's all he really does.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's just bouncy. And
he just uses momentum to bowl people over.
And it's funny that in the episodes of Justice League where Bouncing Boy and Brainiac 5 did show up, they didn't do anything. They didn't fight anyone. They didn't do anything because I knew the animators were like, yeah, if we show Bouncing Boy doing anything, that's gonna look really fucking stupid. So yeah, Bouncing Boy's my number 5 because he just has no purpose other than being dribbled.
Well, Bouncing Boy's a big goof, but for my number 5, I'm actually going to be talking about another member of the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh.
Surprisingly, the one that was inducted right after Bouncing Boy.
Oh, you're talking about...
I'm talking about Tenzil Kem, a.k.a. Matter Eater Lad.
Oh, God.
Yeah, like I said, against other people. Matter Eater Lad.
I knew this was coming.
Okay, so Matter Eater Lad is an alien from a planet called Bismol.
Yes, he is.
And his power is that he can eat things.
Anything.
Now, apparently, in the Legion of Superheroes, they don't have any like tact with their name creation. It's like he can bounce, call him Bouncy Boy. He's a lad who can eat all manner of shit. Call him Matter Eater.
Oh
Lad.
yeah, like he controls like electricity and stuff. Lightning Lad. Like,
yeah,
that's-
like
yeah.
they don't give him. There's no tact.
Yeah.
They're not clever. Like they could have called him like Consumo
Yeah.
or something, or like. But
Well, as you'll see as we move on here, yeah, they literally just tap on. What do you do? That's your name.
so Matter Eater Lad and all the people from his planet. By the way, he's not even special. He just happens to be a teenager. They
Right.
can eat anything.
And ended up on Earth, so he's basically a Superman.
Yeah.
He's-
But even Superman is the last the quote unquote the last Krypton, the last
Yeah.
son of Krypton. He's just a guy who can eat stuff.
And hey, in Matter Eater Lad's defense, it's not only that he can eat anything, he can successfully digest anything, any substance.
yeah, he can eat his way through. Like if they need to get through a fence, and they're
Right.
like, "Well, what do we do? Do we just jump over it? Do we go like cut?" And he's like, "Don't worry, guys, I'm hungry anyway."
Yeah, the most famous panel of Matter Eater Lad is him eating the like iron rods. He's like standing there. There's like a fence or something.
Yeah.
He's just eating the rods of
Yep,
it.
yep.
And like the first time I ever saw that, I was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" No, like this is a joke.
Well, as I was researching this, I found one picture that made me laugh so hard. It's him holding a sub sandwich, like sub with cheese, like lettuce, but then instead of meat, it's just a bunch of like wrenches and screwdrivers, and then hanging out of his mouth is like a wrench.
That's from a story.
I don't know if it's actually
it's a
from a
fan
story
drawing.
or if it was fan drawing, but it was just as I was researching it, it was just a picture I saw, and I was like,
God.
Jesus Christ!
Oh, Matter Eater Lad. Oh no,
All right,
that's pretty bad.
number 4.
All right, so for me, number 4, I'm gonna go with a old Silver Age Batman villain, the Ten-Eyed Man.
Ooh.
Ooh. So the Ten-Eyed Man is an individual. He was a criminal who had an accident and he lost his eyes, and so after some emergency surgery to try and save him or whatever, he had his optic nerves put into his fingers. The ends of his fingers. So now instead of
Isn't
having...
that the monster from Pan's Labyrinth?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, the Pan's Labyrinth was the hands.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so Ten-Eyed Man he holds up his hands and he can see with his 10 optic nerves on his fingers.
So he can see in any direction if he points his hand in that direction.
That's basically his thing. He
Okay.
is not super powerful, he's not very intelligent,
But
and if he's grabbing something, he's presumably
completely blind.
Yeah, and Batman always beats him with one punch and just KO. He had a resurgence, so he kind of was like a one-shot donezo, and then he actually popped up in one part of the Batman the Brave and the Bold, because of course he did in that show. Which, by the way, if you've never watched The Brave and the Bold, for all of its silliness, it actually is one of my favorite Batman cartoons,
Okay.
besides the original. But, yeah, Ten-Eyed Man is a nonsense. And every time you see him, he's like holding up his hands so they can see with his 10 finger eyes. But I really feel like if he makes a fist, he's fucked.
Yeah, he can only fight with his feet.
Yeah.
He has to Bruce Lee the
Oh,
shit
you know
out
what?
of people.
He should get 10 more installed on his feet. He could be 20-eyed man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he should like pair up. Oh, I guess that would be crossing into the Marvel
Right.
world. But pair up with Batroc the Leaper, so you can just stand and Batroc can jump around
Right.
and kick people with his Batroc French legs.
Yeah.
And he can oh, we have to go in that direction.
Right.
I'm pointing my fingers to show you.
I mean, listen, for being like a voyeur, like a peeping Tom, that's probably got to be a sweet power. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're just standing
you
there.
just reach under a door.
Yeah, and like in like the girls' locker room, he's putting his hand under there, being really like rape culture, and it's like Ten-Eyed Man, cut that out. But oh god, you know what though? I just thought about. Fuck, when he masturbates, that's gotta be really weird.
Oh, dude,
Like-
no, it's got to be amazing.
Or like when he wipes his butt, like Ten-Eyed Man, because we don't know. Presumably he can't like blink or close.
and he can't turn it off.
Yeah. Oh man, when he's like wiping down there, like oh god.
Oh, no wonder he's a villain.
Yeah.
His whole world is
Or
just
if he,
awful.
I mean, like it would come in handy for things like if he has like an itch he needs to scratch, or like if he has something stuck in his teeth, he can put it in, see right where that is, and pull it out. But for other things, that's got to be, or like looking for small things you have to turn with wrenches
Yeah.
and stuff. But no, that could be a horrible life.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, and I mean, think about it. Presumably he doesn't have night vision, So he's got to still hold a flashlight with one hand.
Oh yeah, like
So
that would be like closing one eye.
that would be like closing one eye while you're in the dark.
Like, oh man. So Ten-Eyed Man, you're my number 4.
All right.
And the fact that you haven't popped up in anything recent in the comic books, I'm okay with.
All right. Well, my number 4 is a character from a Spider-Man comic. Actually, I believe he was in 2 Spider-Man comics. He is called Razorback.
Oh, I've heard of Razorback.
Buford Hollis is the name of the character. He's actually a mutant, and the reason they call him Razorback is because he wears a cowl that is made from a wild boar. So it's just
like an actual boar?
Yeah, like a big pig head.
Is it alive or dead?
No, it's dead. It's just like the skin of a dead pig.
Because it'd be really
and then
funny
he's wearing
if he
like green spandex clothes.
It'd be funny if he wore an actual pig on his head.
No.
That tattooed pig from
Right. Pets. Like an alive pig.
Yeah, tattooed pig.
No, he's got like a pig head, and that's it.
What's his power?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
So his mutant power. Now you would assume his mutant power would have something to do with.
He's a villain, right?
With a no, he's a hero. I just showed Josh a picture of this guy.
I thought I'm taken back. I thought I remembered Razorback. I was thinking of someone else.
It's green spandex with like yellow gloves, boots, and belt.
Why does Spider-Man have like the shittiest villains?
He's not a villain.
Oh yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, he fights a Spider-Man, but he ultimately, I think, ends up being like a good guy.
So Punisher.
Now, again, you would think that like he's strong, but he's not super strong. He's just a big guy.
Right.
And he's a good hand-to-hand combatant. But his actual mutant power is that he intuitively knows how to drive any vehicle.
Oh, God, yes.
He can drive any car or helicopter or anything, airplane. Yeah.
Golf cart.
So he's constantly the getaway driver. Why didn't they just call him Driver?
Yeah, where's the pig come from?
Yeah.
He just like really... No, you know what? He's like David Cameron. Like, he just wanted to like fuck a dead pig. And so he was just like, I'm gonna Razorback. They're like, oh, that's cool. Like, what's your pig power?
I can drive shit.
I could drive a warthog from Halo.
Right, exactly.
Like, that's the only pig reference.
Yeah. So basically, his mutant power is something that anyone can do with enough training.
Yeah.
As opposed to Wolverine or Cyclops.
No. He's not a fucking mutant. He just practiced enough that he tells people
he's a mutant.
Like, I've never done this before. When he gets into like a speedboat, like, and the Wolverine's just like, wow, you must be a mutant. And Xavier's reading his mind like, yeah, he's a mutant. No.
Why is it that every time I use Cerebro, I don't see you? It must be that pig cowl.
Yeah. It's like Magneto's helmet.
Now, apparently, the pig cowl does have like some kind of electrical current that can go through it. He has a button on his glove, and it was strong enough.
A big mouth Billy Bass. It just starts singing.
Well, no, the electrical current made it it was strong enough to incapacitate Spider-Man. Okay. So, but that's not a power. That's a gadget. His actual power is I can drive shit real good.
Right. I'm gonna give Razorback the seal of approval for that's certified stupid.
That's dumb as shit.
That's stupid.
All right. Shall we talk about number 3?
All right. So my number 3 is another old school Batman villain that you have probably never heard of, fair listeners. And if you have, good. His name is Polka Dot Man.
Oh, Lord.
Polka Dot Man wears, as probably predicted, a white suit covered in multicolored polka dots. And his thing, he was a criminal, super criminal. Okay. And he always would do dot-themed heists. So, for example, like, oh, we're gonna deface this art gallery by putting polka dots all on them. Mwahahaha! Or like, we're gonna go to the First National Bank and open up the vault with a giant acid dot. Mwahahaha! It's just like his dot thing. So, but his ability, so this is where it comes in, is his ability, it's not just, I mean, for one thing, he must just be really poor fashion obsessed with polka dots. But his suit, he has the ability to grab the polka dots off of the suit, and they turn into like weapons, and so he'll like grab his like left nipple blue. It's actually he looks like he's wearing a twister board, and he can just grip the like right hand green grenade, left hand yellow machine gun.
Wait, so he's like the Tattooed Man, but not nearly as cool.
But the thing is, they don't actually become like Tattooed Man. Like if he has he gets a tattoo of like a dagger, he can like throw
He
the
can pull
dagger
it.
out.
Yeah, Tattoo Man I think is actually a really cool
Yeah,
super
or Tattoo
villain.
Man can like get like this like snakes on his neck and they become like actual like pythons or something. No, Polka Dot Man throws a red polka dot at you and suddenly it becomes like very dense and hurts. like it's like in Superman in the Superman 2 when he really ripped the S and threw it. Yeah, that's basically Polka Dot Man's abilities.
That is god awful.
Polka Dot Man is, and he just always, there's a really famous, the most like famous panel or picture of him is just like his face just looks absolutely like he may or may not have used those polka dots in like a sex thing. Like
probably has.
He looks really bad. And the thing is like I'm all for silly villains. There he is. I'm showing Ben a picture of him.
Oh Lord,
that's Polka Dot Man.
He looks like the Dippin' Dots mascot.
Yes. he is covered. He should be Dippin' Dots Man. So Polka Dot Man, you are by far.
It's like he just throws Dippin' Dots at people, and they're like, this is bizarre, but it is the ice cream of the future.
Yes, they melt on my mouth instantly.
It tastes good,
boo,
but it's way too expensive.
Boo, Polka Dot Man.
Boo, Polka Dot Man. All right. Well, if I'm going to talk about my number 3, let me paint a picture here for you. There's a guy named Billy Moon. He's a martial arts enthusiast and a Vietnam veteran.
Okay.
Who has found a career in roller derby.
Okay.
In the wake of the murder of his best friend by biker gangs, Moon sinks into depression, only to meet a young Hispanic boy named Paco. Paco's comic book collection inspires Moon to wrap a scarf around his face and fight crime with his roller skates as Skate Man.
Oh dear.
Skate Man was a character who was created by Pacific Comics in November of 1983.
Okay.
And it lasted 1 issue.
Aww.
Skate Man #1 is the only Skate Man there will ever be.
I bet you Skate Man #1's pretty fucking like expensive now.
Skate Man is just a rollerblading guy who wears a scarf on his head. That's it. That's the whole. There he is. That's the whole thing. He beats up like street level criminals while wearing roller skates and a scarf tied around his head.
I like the idea of that anyone could be a hero, you know, that idea that like, oh yeah, like anyone can pull up the mantle of Batman and become Batman. But this dude, like literally, because we all know the truth is no, to be Batman you have to be rich, you have to have pretty perfect shape, you have to be fucking brilliant. You
have to be a master in like 89 different like practices.
Everything. Like not everyone can be Batman. Most people can't. In fact, no one else besides Bruce Wayne can be Batman.
I would say that 60% of the population could be Skate Man.
I would go as far as to say anyone who has ever worn roller skates and has at least like operating knowledge of any kind of combat, including like a fist fight when you were like 4 with your sibling.
But even then, if you're roller skating at someone at full speed and you punch them in the face, you don't really need to know hand-to-hand combat. You're gonna knock them out. So,
oh God, I had no idea. I just saw Skate Man's Neil Adams.
Yeah.
Oh God, Neil. What were you doing? Like, for all of you that don't know, Neil Adams is a phenomenal comic book artist, well known and for a lot of great things. And in the 70s, he was like the best like artist for Batman. Like the Neil Adams Batman. If you see it, you know it's the very famous blue with the gray and the big yellow shield. That's the Neil Adams Batman.
Well, apparently in the 80s, he decided to do Skate Man issue 1.
He jumped the shark here. Oh, God.
So yeah, Skate Man will go down in infamy as one of those comic book characters that only gets 1 issue. You know what? I bet you and I could buy the rights to that character with, like, what I have in the bank right now.
No, you know what? Hold on a second.
And we could make our own Skate Man comics.
I bet you that Neil actually is very protective of Skate Man. I bet you he's like, nah, man, I really love, of all my life, I really love.
That was like a real indie project for me.
Like, I really love
Super
Skate
underground.
Man.
All right, well, let's talk about number 2.
All right, so for me, number 2 are from Superman Batman. That story arc, one of their story arcs. I'm gonna go with the Maximums.
Ooh,
so
what are the Maximums?
Well, have you ever heard of Marvel's The Avengers?
Yes, I would say that possibly I have.
So, as someone who's aware of The Avengers, I'll just paint a picture for you here. Let's say you are reading a book, and Superman and Batman are transported to an alternate universe where they can wake up and they're not in Gotham or Metropolis or Coast City or anything. They're in New York. And in New York, they encounter a group of heroes that are sort of sanctioned by the government.
Okay.
Sort of. They work with government entities and that sort of thing. And they're a group of superheroes called the Maximums. And their leader is, I will go through the whole team in just a second, but their leader says, "Maximums, march!" And that's how they all show up.
Oh, Maximums March.
Maximums, march!
You know, as opposed to something else that is alliterative.
So let me describe to you the Maximums here, and and you can try and guess maybe where these guys come from. So first you have Soldier. He was an American hero that was injected with a special soldier formula that made him very powerful, and now he's like the world's greatest warrior in terms of like American combat heroes. Then you have Viking. He's the son of the ice giants with his special magical axe.
Okay.
He's a god from the Norse mythology or something.
Okay.
Then you have Robot, which Robot is a mechanical suit that people think a person is, but it turns out Robot actually is a robot.
Okay.
But people think a man is inside of him. Then you have Monster, which is a little girl, but when she becomes very afraid, the fear emotion causes her to turn into this giant blue monster.
Oh, monster.
Yeah. Then you have Hornet. She is a woman who can fly around and make herself smaller. And Hornet is married to Skyscraper, who is a man, a genius who invented a formula that can make him real big.
Oh, man.
Then you have Bowman, Bowman is an archer who's wisecracking and wears purple. And you have Bug, which is a witty teenager who can climb on walls and works with the Maximums on occasion and makes a lot of, and is wisecracking.
Oh my God.
And then finally you have Wolfid, who's a hairy, regenerating, angry guy who sometimes him and the Maximums don't always see eye to eye, but he works with them on occasion.
Wow.
Wolfid. So there you go. Those are the Maximums. And they get really pissed off. What happens is that they encounter Batman and Superman because in a different reality, Superman, something happens to Lois Lane. Superman from another universe comes to the Maximums universe and murders Skyscraper. So then, when they, I know. So when they encounter Batman and Superman, they swear on their lives. They're like, "You guys killed Skyscraper. We're gonna get you." And then,
well, I mean, if you've watched Man of Steel, you know for a fact that Superman loves to kill Skyscraper.
That's true. That is 100%. Take that, Hollywood. Thank you, Zack Snyder. But so what happens is that Bowman, throughout the story arc, Bowman is actually dead, and it's the ghost of Bowman. Which, by the way, if you haven't caught on here, it's Hawkeye. It's Hawkeye from the Avengers. He keeps telling Captain America and the other Avengers, i.e. the Maximums, like, "Hey, you can't trust these guys, you gotta kill them, blah, 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 whatever." Well, lo and behold, it turns out that actually Mixus Pitlick and Joker, who has Batmite's powers,
Oh my God.
they've been doing the whole thing. And Batmite, through Joker, like, as his, like, medium, was gathering Batman and Superman and the other DC characters that he likes to battle Mixus Pitlick and the Maximums.
Oh,
and
Lord.
then they get to a point where they have them all come. They're like, "It's really cool to combine your characters," so they put them all together. So the Maximums become like an amalgate version of just one giant Maximum, and then they're like, "This is stupid," so they just like make him disappear. And then they're like, "Just keep this," and then they end up fighting Darkseid, and then Batmite's like, "This is dumb. It basically ends with them just being like, "Yeah, this was silly. We're gonna set the universe back the way it needs to be." But the Maximums, literally within 2 seconds, like one panel, I was like, "They're the fucking the Avengers." Like, they're just the Avengers.
Well, you know what? Marvel's done the same thing with characters from the JLA. They've actually had a couple different characters that are very reminiscent of Superman, and they've had entire teams that are very reminiscent of the Justice League.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the same thing as like this. Like when they encounter the team that's like the Justice League, they just crush them.
Yeah.
You know?
I just thought it was so funny because the Maximums, like, to be honest, as the story went on, for like, they actually were cool. Like, I kind of like the one that pissed me off was Viking, the Thor,
Yeah.
because he just like. Thor is like a warrior, but he's usually like noble, you know, to an extent. And Viking was just a dick. He was like, they killed Skyscraper. We must fucking murder Batman and the one they call Superman. Give me, and I think he's like his axe is like Volner or something.
Oh,
Like,
Lord.
It was pretty comical.
Well, for instance, an actually well-regarded character in Marvel is Hyperion, which Hyperion is Superman.
Oh, okay.
But what if Superman is kind of a dick, not like
Right.
just a Boy Scout? Hyperion is the last living person from a planet who comes to Earth, and he has all these powers, including like laser vision and breath and
Nice.
all of
Cool.
Superman's
Superman.
powers, except he has short sleeves. Like that's his difference.
So he's Superboy.
He's charged by the sun.
Oh.
But the problem is, at least in some iterations of it, he thinks like he should be the leader of the Avengers,
Mhm.
and they're like, yeah, but you're kind of brash. We don't know if we want you in the Avengers. So he goes crazy and he's like, I'm a fucking god, and then like they have to fight him. So it's like, what if Superman was kind of a dick?
Injustice.
Yeah.
He's the Injustice Superman.
Yeah.
Fair
So,
enough.
All right. In any case, if I'm talking number 2, all right. Now there was a very short-lived comic book publisher known as MF Enterprises.
Oh, hold on. Can I stop you for 1 second?
Yeah.
What I was going to say is, by the way, I know that my number 2, the Maximums, aren't as stupid as, like, a Ten-Eyed Man or Polka Dot Man, but the fact that they were just literally just the Avengers, I was like, no, man, like, that's stupid.
Absolutely.
Anyway, please continue.
Yeah, no. So in from 1966 to 1967, and there was a short-lived comic book publisher known as MF Enterprises,
Mhm.
and their best-known effort was the fact that for a very short amount of time, when the copyright for the name Captain Marvel was up in the air,
Okay.
they had themselves a Captain Marvel,
Uh-oh.
and their Captain
So there
Marvel
were 3 Captain Marvels.
was in no relation to the original Fawcett Comics character that eventually became
Shazam.
the Shazam that we know.
Mhm.
Theirs was actually and the funny thing about this is, the claim is that he was actually based on a Golden Age character that was created by Carl Burgos, who was the creator of the original Human Torch. But this guy is just like, no, he's not. Okay, so Captain Marvel was an alien android who was sent to Earth to defend the planet, right? He could split his body into 6 parts.
Oh.
His head, his torso, his arms, and his legs would split apart when he would yell, "Split!" And when they came back together, he would yell, "Zam!"
Split Zam?
Split and Zam.
Oh, no.
So he would yell, "Split!" and his body parts would fall apart. And then his body parts would just fly at the enemy. That was his power.
Oh,
They would,
man.
like, fly around the enemy really fast, and people would be like, "I'm surrounded by body parts. I surrender,"
Right.
or whatever.
But no heroes ever called out anything to have anything happen to them. Definitely not anything with Zam in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Name's Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah.
So obviously that didn't last very long.
Split Zam!
They didn't last long at all. But yeah, so there is a character out there who is an android that you can look it up. It just looks like a Lego is taken apart. You know, you have the legs, the arms, the torso, and the head, and they just go flying at whatever the bad guy is.
Oh, man.
And then when he yells "Split" and when he yells "Zam," he comes back together.
Right. Oh, dear.
So, you know, that's the entire character in a nutshell.
I'm gonna say boo, Captain Marvel.
Dumb enough to be my number 2. By the way, again, I know we keep doing stuff behind the scenes here, but I just got to show a picture of. This is I found a little GIF of he yells "Split" and he splits apart, and he yells "Zam" and he comes back.
He
together.
literally looks like just a broken action figure.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
You know what,
hilarious.
he looks like one of those Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, that
dolls.
rips.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So that is there are two great Captain Marvels. There's Shazam and there's Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel.
Sure.
And they're fantastic, powerful characters. But god damn it, there's another Captain Marvel out there.
Right.
That you can you could find an issue of this right now and read it and think, if you didn't know anything about comics, you'd be like, why are they making a Captain Marvel movie?
Oh man. So
why did they cast The Rock in a movie with this character too?
Yeah.
They're making two different Captain Marvel movies.
Yeah. Oh man. Boo, Captain Marvel. Oh god. All right.
All right. So I think it is now time for number one.
All right. So for me, number one, I'm going to be talking about Wonder Woman and in Wonder Woman's universe. Wonder Woman is a feminist icon. She's a hero for equality, for the rights of the underprivileged, and she really has a good history of progression and third wave feminism.
Mm-hmm.
However, Wonder Woman has not her entire history been able to avoid some of the racist tropes that plagued early comics.
Okay.
And in particular, I'm going to talk about Egg Fu.
Oh, Lord.
So Egg Fu was a Wonder Woman villain who, and I know this is going to sound really surprising, was an egg. And there's no explanation here. He's just a giant egg. Like, well, I don't know if he's a man shaped like an egg, but he has no arms or legs, so he's just a really big egg. With a Fu Manchu mustache and, like, really, like, blatantly obvious racist kind of portrayals of Chinese people.
Of course.
Like the very stereotyped and exaggerated.
Yeah, like the Mandarin.
Yeah. And so, but Egg Fu also spoke with a really, he was written to speak with a really thick, like, fucked up Chinese American accent. And the problem with Egg Fu is that, and this is where he has no explanation, the fact that he's an egg. There's no explanation why he's Chinese and has facial hair. And the weird thing is here is you would think, oh, okay, so he's Chinese, he's from China, maybe he's like some mystic. No, he's a Soviet spy.
Oh,
he's
Jesus.
He's just a Soviet sleeper spy egg who's from China, presumably, has an accent, and his ability, his power is his Fu Manchu mustache. It gets super big and works as, like, whips.
Oh, Lord.
And he's just an egg.
The funny thing about that is, typically a spy has to be someone who can blend into society, who can, like, gather intel. No one's like, hey, do you guys notice that talking egg with the Fu Manchu?
Sorry, hold on. He was a Chinese communist agent, but he worked, like, with
Either way,
he worked with the Soviets.
It doesn't matter. You can't be a spy if you're a talking egg with a mustache.
Yeah. And so in his first appearance, what he did was
no one's revealing sensitive information to the egg with the mustache.
The really big egg. So in Egg Fu's first appearance, what he did was, you're gonna love this, he captured Steve Trevor and somehow, inexplicably, turned Steve Trevor into a human bomb to have him go and, like, blow up something.
Oh.
Here's a picture, since we're doing this. There's Egg Fu.
Oh, that's so delightfully racist.
And this is how he talks. The foolish Americans do not know that the instant any of their pilots attempt to take photographs of our...
Oh, they even replaced the R with an L.
Yeah.
That's so racist.
As well, plus a trigger against their own planes. Hee-ho! Like, yeah.
Oh, Lord, that is so bad.
And for Wonder Woman, of all people, see, there's him with his egg mustache. He's got them trapped.
You know what? I'm going to send this out to Mark and Draco and be like, hey, I know you're right now writing Wonder Woman 77. What the fuck about this?
Bring back Egg Fu. Well, Egg Fu has... So since then, he has appeared again. And over time, they've done away with... So they got rid of his accent, they took away his mustache, and they've changed his kind of origins.
Well, now he's what, Humpty Dumpty?
Well, he looks kind of like this, since in more modern incarnations.
Oh, so now he's like a weird alien egg.
But no, actually, so, and I know that, I don't know a whole lot about him in a more modern sense, but I know that they did turn Egg Fu. At one point, he was like a robot. It was a giant egg-shaped robot, which makes much more sense than just like a human egg.
Yeah, some kind of weird mystical egg.
So, Egg Fu, you win my top award for fucking stupidest comic book character.
All right, well, you know what? That one's pretty...
And by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
and I apologize for reading that in what might have been maybe an offensive kind of tone, but to be honest, I was reading that exactly how it was written to be read.
They literally took R's and turned them into L's.
It was supposed to be like a really poor joke.
Yeah.
Like when fucking, like, who was it? Like Marlon Brando or someone played like a Chinese guy in one of those like really old movies.
Oh, Mickey Rooney.
Mickey Rooney, that's right. Yeah, that.
Yeah. All right. So my number one is another character from the DC Comics 30th century, but he does not. He does try to get into the Legion of Superheroes and is ultimately denied.
I think I know where this is going.
Because apparently he panics at the last moment.
Yep.
This character is named...
Hold on. Now remember what we said about the Legion of Superheroes, that their names are totally just what they can do.
Oh, yeah. So this is Floyd Belkin, and he is known as Armfall... God damn it.
Arm Fall Off Boy.
Arm Fall Off Boy. Now, Arm Fall Off Boy. He was actually a character from December of 1989, which is interesting because I was born in November of 1989, so he has been created in my lifetime.
I thought Arm Fall Off Boy was, I thought he was older. I'm surprised.
No, December of 1989. He was drawn by Kurt Swan.
Okay.
Now, Arm Fall Off Boy is a guy who can take his arms off and use them as clubs. That's his power. That's it. His power is a disability. He has prosthetic arms.
Yeah,
he can remove them.
He's basically that dude from the opposite of that dude from Mortal Kombat.
Jax?
Yeah, rip arms off and beat people with them.
He literally takes off one of his arms and uses it as a club. His power is he's handicapped. Arm Fall Off Boy, apparently Matter Eater Lad, who has come up earlier in this, claims that he gained his powers through carelessness while holding the anti-gravity metal element 152. But Matter Eater Lad may not have been serious. In his introduction, he's an applicant at the First Legion tryout, and the First Legion rejects him. That's from Wikipedia. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, he tried to be a superhero, and they were like, look, we're dumb, but you're really dumb.
I mean, to be fair, he was written as a joke. Like, he was supposed... Yeah. That one was one that was supposed to be like a ha-ha. But either way, Arm Fall Off Boy. I would really enjoy that if we started... So with, like, Phoenix Jones and stuff, we're starting to have the seeds of superheroes in our midst. I think that if we do ever actually have like vigilantes and like superheroes in real life, which would be badass, I hope they go with that. I hope they go with the Legion of Superheroes version of naming yourself.
They just so that the moment you hear their name, you're like, oh, I don't know if you can help me in this instance.
Right.
I need a different superhero.
Exactly, yeah.
Because if you say like I'm Batman, it's like, what are your abilities?
Yeah.
Sonar,
echolocation.
Like people would assume that Daredevil is actually Batman,
right?
Because he uses like echolocation and
right,
shit.
Yeah. And Superman is actually the worst in that because it's like, what do you do? Well, I do this. You should just be like every Power Man.
Yeah, right. Or like the name's Wolverine.
Right.
Oh, so you're like really scrappy and small? Yeah, but also I heal. Like Wolverines do.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Like, and honestly, we could probably just start doing this. So, for example, like you and I could be like stupid podcast recording guys, like recording man 1 and 2, or we could be like if you're grilling out. Oh, what are you doing? Yeah, I've changed my trope. Now I'm Grill Man.
Yeah, I've rebranded myself.
Yes.
Like when
Ant-Man became Giant
when
Man.
When Ant-Man became Yellow Jacket.
Yeah,
for a while.
Yeah.
Like, I'm now Grill Boy.
Yeah, or Falcon becomes Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, I'm Spatula Flip Man.
I've taken up the mantle of Fry Boy.
Yes. So, oh god, Arm Fall Off Boy.
Arm Fall Off Boy, in my opinion, is the dumbest one ever created.
Him and Egg Foo should... Him and Egg Foo should battle.
Oh, that'd be a great...
That'd clash the tights one of these days.
That would be great.
You guys heard it here. That's probably gonna
happen. We're gonna have to have them fight. In fact, we're going to probably just have to have a nonsense hero brawl.
Yeah.
Or something. That'd be going. But in any case, now that we got through that, we should talk about our Clash of the Tides!
Chugga chugga, dun dun. Clash of the Tides.
Dun, oh, dun, dun,
dun, dun. Alright, so recapping last week, we pitted Freddy Krueger versus Dom Cobb from Inception in a battle of the subconscious sleeping dream in a dream in a dream in a dream.
Yeah. Which, guys, we need you to get on Twitter and give us more votes so we can get more of a perspective from you, the audience, as to who you think would win. We didn't get many votes on this one at all.
And you know what? To be fair, I think we will start putting the polls also on Facebook and other mediums, because I know some of you don't follow us on Twitter, or don't have a Twitter, but you listen and use other mediums. So we'll post it in other formats also. And like, for instance, like in the YouTube the comments in YouTube, post your answers there. Post them on the Facebook or wherever. Yeah, so we can get a kind of good idea. Also, if you think Clash of the Tights is stupid, and you're like, I don't want to vote because it's dumb, say that, and then we'll comment back, well, you're dumb.
Yeah, maybe next week we'll have Clash of Tights between you and Godzilla.
Yeah,
guess who wins?
You're Godzilla, because you're dumb.
It's
For all your frying friends' needs, choose Godzilla.
Yeah. In any case, so based on what we got from Twitter and our own personal votes, it's Dom. Dom beat Freddy Krueger.
I'm surprised that it. No, I'm sorry. I meant I'm not surprised, because Mr. Cobb, he comes in there, shoots Freddy, win.
Drops the gun, walks out.
All right.
Spins the top to leave the audience wondering about it for decades afterwards.
Boom!
Yeah. Boom!
All right. So how about you tell them, Benny Boy, who are our tights clashing this week?
Oh, this week we have... Sorry, slipped my mind for a second there. This week we have an awesome matchup, which I got to give you your credit for, Josh. This one was good.
Yep.
This week we have a matchup with Pokemon Go being such a big thing this week.
Mm-hmm.
We decided, you know what? Why don't we try to find Pokemon? And then we remembered, you know what else is really big right now that a lot of people are hating on?
Who are you gonna call?
The female Ghostbusters. So we said, let's go back to the original Pokemon, and let's go back to the original Ghostbusters. So we have, now this isn't going to be entirely fair because it's 3-on-4, but we have Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, the 3 ghost-type Pokemon, versus the original Ghostbusters. I'm talking Egon, I'm talking about Stance, I'm talking about Bankman, and I'm talking about Winston.
So, in corner 1, we have Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar, the ghost-type Pokemon, who also are poison-type. So starting with Ghastly. Ghastly, his body is predominantly composed of poisonous gas, which can, if exposed for too long against his enemies, can, if they ingest too much of it, can poison them and they can die. Including up to, he's able to, within like 2 minutes or something, like poison like an elephant-sized object or animal or whatever.
Ooh.
Ghastly has a more joking kind of nature, so he's a little bit more docile than his older evolutionary forms. But Ghastly can also be sinister, and all 3 of these can. So Ghastly, and he has the ability to use his poison gas. He can also do a lick technique that his lick causes paralysis, and he also can learn. He doesn't start with this ability, but he can learn the ability to use his kind of like psychic projections to get into people's minds and cause them significant pain.
Wow.
Flip up to Haunter. Haunter also has the lick ability, but Haunter's lick not only causes paralysis. Haunter's lick is poisonous and will inflict death soon after, if not being cured, not having an antidote.
You better hope you don't get licked by Haunter.
Haunter also has the ability he has a stronger psychic power, so he can get into the minds and manipulate and confuse people. He can make them fall asleep, and he's able to really inflict a lot of mental damage. As well as Haunter also has the ability to bite, and his bite is very damaging. And Haunter can hide in the shadows a little bit better than Ghastly. Also, Ghastly has the weakness that if there's too much gust, it'll blow away his poison gas and kind of make him kind of vulnerable. Haunter no longer has that limitation.
Okay.
And then you can move on to Gengar, their 3rd form. Gengar, so wind doesn't bother him at all. Gengar still has the lick and the bite, but now Gengar can still put them to sleep and confuse them, but Gengar, if they're asleep, Gengar can actually go into your dreams, Freddy Krueger style, and kill you in your dream, which is like a murderous tactic and is very, very damaging.
Oh, shit.
Also, Gengar has the ability to transform into anything shadow and hide and sneak up on him, so he's got the element of surprise. And also, Gengar is just sinister. Whereas Ghastly was kind of funny and joking. Haunter is like mischievous. Gengar's sinister.
And Gengar also has a Mega Evolution, correct?
Yeah, but we're talking first generation.
Oh, okay, so
we're talking old.
all right.
Like, yeah.
Fair enough. I didn't know if we wanted to include that because of the
Stay
Puft Marshmallow.
But you said
good
you
call.
said
Good
old
call.
Ghostbusters, old Pokemon. We'll stick with that.
Good call. All right. So again, on the Ghostbuster side, I mean, you guys know, you've seen the movies. They're tacticianists. They got the street know-how. They got the book know-how. They got the backpack strapped on there.
They have
the
hearse.
Yep. If they cross their streams, it's very dangerous, but it can also give them like a big old power boost.
Right.
They can capture them in the little boxes that they send out. So
and sometimes they have friendly ghosts, like that little green guy that was like
Slimer.
Yeah, their friend.
So they are well equipped to taking on ghosts of all sizes and shapes.
And they have a pretty like extensive knowledge of paranormal threats.
And let's be honest, that little box that they're throwing out there is basically a Pokeball. I mean, it captures something and condenses it down.
Yep.
So, basically, we're looking at a battle of Pokemon versus humans.
So, I am going to give this one to Haunter, Gengar, and Ghastly.
How do you see this one panning out?
So this is what I see. I think that Ghastly, with their little vacuum things they use to suck them in, like Luigi's Mansion, but like they're little, they basically look like vacuum packs.
Yeah.
Those things, they're gonna, with the wind and stuff from that, is gonna get Ghastly his poison gas out of there. So Ghastly's probably gonna be pretty limited in what he can do. However, while they're focusing on Ghastly, Gengar is just gonna become their shadows, so they don't know Gengar's there.
Yeah.
Haunter is going to put them all to sleep. He's going to lick one of them. They're going to be freaking out like while he's dying. And they're like, oh, we have to save him. Haunter's going to put them to sleep. Gengar's going to infiltrate their minds and Dream Eater all of them. KO. Win. Pokemon.
Okay. I'm actually going to fight you on this one. I think the way that this is going to turn out, first of all, Winston, unfortunately, is a black guy in a scary movie. And everyone knows that ghosts go after the black guy first. So I think that...
Particularly in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Gengar is going to kill him first. I think that Haunter is going to lick Venkman, Bill Murray's character, because he's the one that got the slime. He's the one that's going to get the gross lick, and he's going to start convulsing. But because our real brains of the operation, which is Egon and Stance, are going to be able to cross the streams, and they're going to just blast through it, throw out the little pad, capturing the Pokemon. I think it's going to... Two of them are going to get killed, but the other two are going to survive.
So who are you going to call?
I'm going to call it for the Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
But we're going to leave it to you guys on the Twitterverse to tell us what you think about it.
Do you think the Ghostbusters could stop the Pokemon ghosts, or do you think that Haunter is going to haunt their dreams?
Is it going to be Ghostbusters or Ghost Type?
Yeah. All right, well, that is our cold switch. No, that is our show for the week. Thank you for listening. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at The Strong and the Geek, Twitter at Strong and Geek, YouTube The Strong and the Geek. Anything else that we can... SoundCloud, that's an iTunes.
Yeah, SoundCloud, iTunes. You can check me out at The Ben Ramirez. You can check him out at Ramrez4Prez.
Yeah, send us... If you want to email us, it's thestrongandthegeek@gmail, with requests, whether it's interest in the show, topics for the show, if you want to be a guest on the show. The past few weeks we've had guests, and was very fun.
Yeah.
And, of course, vote in our Clash of the Tights poll. And keep an ear to the ground about all the fun stuff we'll be doing. So,
that's it for me.
That's it for me.
Make sure you stay strong, stay geek.
Dun, dun. Welcome to the post-credits scene.
Yeah, get him out, Burr. I'm back. Raquel! So a lot of you weren't a fan of me compared to Peter Parker. Well, I don't give a fuck what you think.
Yeah, fuck you.
Also, this is really unprofessional.
I don't know why I sound like Nicolas Cage.